Busan was a groundbreaking event for the international development community. For the first time in our collective approach towards development, we put transparency, accountability, and results at the center of our development framework. We built on previous agreements in Accra and Paris to essentially say that development has to be a whole of society exercise. It's not just for governments, it's for civil society, it's for the business community. There was a recognition at Busan that official development assistance just isn't the be-all and end-all that it used to be. We now see private corporations with social responsibility programs. We see foundations like the Gates Foundation being the major world donor in health as we look at developing countries. We're seeing $1 trillion worth of capital in the private sector flowing to developing countries each year. And so what Busan said was that we have to define a new partnership for development, and that partnership requires countries like the United States and Japan and other donors to be creative, to use their convening authority to draw development experts together, to leverage resources from others, to put together public-private partnerships, to reduce risk for foreign investors, to, on occasion, take risks ourselves by incorporating new innovative approaches in science and technology into what we're doing. Perhaps equally important from Busan was a recognition that there is a unique set of countries that are fragile and that need a different approach towards development. And up until Busan, these countries resisted being called fragile, and now they are embracing it. And for example, in the case of the United States, we are dealing directly with the Liberias of the world to say, how can we rebuild your society? How can we together create the sustainable development that's needed? How can we address the security challenges and the past questions of transitional justice and come to grips with the root causes of instability in your society? What we found in the United States is that if you address members of Congress or the American people in an open dialogue about development, that they will support foreign assistance as long as they believe that it's effective and transparent, that it's not subject to corruption. What we found with the American people is that you can make the argument on three grounds. First, that we as a people prefer to live in a world that's democratic, that's prosperous, that's respectful of human rights and respectful of human dignity, and that this is part of our value structure. But secondly, it's important to remind people that all of our major export markets in the future are going to be primarily in developing countries. Right now, the 13 fastest growing export markets out of our top 18 are in developing countries, countries that previously received U.S. foreign assistance. And so development abroad means jobs and exports for Americans. But perhaps most importantly, it's in our national security interest. Countries that are peaceful and stable don't traffic in drugs, in people, or in weapons. They don't harbor terrorists or pirates. They don't transmit pandemic diseases. They don't send out large numbers of refugees across borders or oceans. And perhaps most significantly, they don't require American troops on the ground. As we look at a situation like Afghanistan, our military officials are saying, we're not going to fight our way out of Afghanistan. We're going to develop our way out of Afghanistan. For many years, the international community was focused strictly on questions of growth rates. If a country achieved a 6 or an 8 or a 10% per capita growth rate over a course of years, we would say they're moving in the right direction and they're developing. Well, we then saw the Arab Spring, where indeed Egypt has been having 6 and 8 and 10% growth rates per capita. But that growth did not translate into good jobs for young people. It didn't translate into political stability. It did not translate into a sense that marginalized groups, whether that's women or religious minorities or ethnic minorities or disabled people, the LGBT community, that they were benefiting from the development drive and that they had a stake in their society. We need to involve these individuals as planners, as implementers, and as beneficiaries of all our development efforts. And we need to consult them regularly during the process. We have an expression we use at USAID, which is nothing about them without them. And that recognizes that no one has a monopoly on good ideas, no one has a monopoly on ground truth or resources, and certainly no one has a monopoly on moral authority.